Welcome to the Simon Racing Report with Jarrad Filsell and me without a haircut for I think 3 months now. I think this podcast, Jarrad, it's been 12 months in the making. I blame you for 10 months of those.
Yeah, it's definitely been a long time in the making. I have fortunately shipped off both my webcams to Scott so he could do the E-Series with his Twitch stuff. So then we couldn't do it, but then I got myself one when they all came back in stock.
Yeah, we're recording this on it's Thursday. The pandemic's getting to me. Thursday, 8th of October. You've just signed with the Red Bull Holden Racing Team, Triple Eight Race Engineering, all the same team basically. Congratulations on that, mate. That's a big thing. Big switch.
Yeah, thanks. Obviously it is the factory, a whole Holden team. It's big achievement of mine to be involved with such a big brand. Obviously with Red Bull and then HP as well with Omen. So they've hooked me up with some nice
Some
little
fancy
monitors. Fancy monitors. They gave me 3 of them. And then I actually got a new PC out of it as well, a keyboard and a mouse. So yeah, it's been great, and a headset too, by the way, which is still in the box, unfortunately.
And I told you as soon as you signed with them, the first thing you need to do is do what Graham Carroll did when he signed with Red Bull, and buy 20 of those fridges so you can stock up on Red Bull cans and all the different types. Zero, pineapple. Is there a pineapple? I don't know.
Whatever. Probably. They've probably got every single flavour that you can think of, really.
Yeah, like those.
I haven't asked for a fridge yet. I'll see how we go. If I win a race, I might get the contract.
Well, there's a nice
win per fridge.
There's a nice spot for you right in the corner, right behind you. I think that's where the fridge is going already.
Yeah, well, there's going to need to be like a 10-meter extension cord to get there, but that's okay. It'll work. I mean, as long as I can reach out there, that'll be fine. Unlimited Red Bull.
For you now, it's essentially a swap with Dane Warren because he obviously drove for Red Bull Holden Racing Team last year. You were at Walkinshaw Andretti United. If this was a trade in, let's say, like the NBA or the NFL, and it was a driver-for-driver trade, is that a fair trade, or do you think maybe based on your performances last year, you know, Walkinshaw should have chucked in like a draft pick or 2 to Red Bull for their second seat?
Yes and no. I mean, Dane was knocking on the door all season last year. He just got unlucky in a few races. I mean, he should have won at least 3 races last year, I think, but he just wasn't in the position, whether it be myself or Josh in front of him, or whether he got caught up in a crash or whatever. So I feel like it's a fair trade. I feel like he's probably the one to beat going into this season. I've said it to everyone that he's probably going to be the number 1 to beat. Obviously with Rogers as well, coming off of a fairly strong PESC season so far. Obviously we're not at the final round yet, but no doubt he'll be hard to beat and hard to manage with the European ping as well. That's going to be something really hard to deal with, but I will just have to deal with it when it comes to it.
Yeah, I thought the racing standards in last year's series were probably the best I've ever seen in a sim racing series, like the cleanest and the most intense and all that kind of stuff. So I was putting it down to the fact that, okay, you've got 12 drivers who are talented, know how to race, but I think the latency is a big part of it, that all of you were all in Australia. We didn't have any Kiwi drivers last year. And it just made it so much easier. And you look back to the first lap at Bathurst, remember in the endurance race when Dane started on pole and you and Josh are trying to make your way around him. Like, you guys are going side by side for half the lap, man, going up the mountain. And that's never possible. Well, it is possible, but it's very difficult if you're racing against, you know, European guys.
Yeah, definitely. There's a bit of trust in that though, really. Like you trust them not to feed you into the wall or whatever, but you just got to get the move done. It's just one of those things. Obviously with Josh having his high ping, then you could kind of trip over yourself or one another because you don't know whether he's going to give you room or you should give him room. It's going to be like one of those seesaw battles, like mentally.
Yeah.
And ego wise, definitely. Because I know Josh won't give up. Never has, never will. But I mean, it is what it is, really. I mean, if someone gets shunted, it's inevitable, really, I think. But what can you do? I mean, that's racing.
So you talked about now getting this Red Bull fridge. No, sorry, I spoke about that. You didn't talk about it. You got a lot of benefits
Yeah.
from this. What benefits did you get from Walkinshaw last year? Because obviously Ryan Walkinshaw, he's a fan of sim racing. You know, he really sort of endorses this kind of stuff. It was probably a bet like the best team for you guys to start off with, and he got the best two drivers. That goes to show how much sort of effort they put into trying to find a great talent pool. Do I make sense here? But now you're moving to Red Bull, and I think they're also, they've been one of the most successful teams of all time in the real world. You're trying to do the same in the sim now. What are the differences now between the two teams? It's not just the name, is it?
Nah, not really. I mean, they're very similar. I mean, Walkinshaw were unbelievable. They're very accommodating. With Ryan and his esports knowledge and whatnot, I think the team were balls in, like they were straight in, bang, two cars. Like that was unbelievable commitment from them.
Mm.
I feel like, but they just set the tone really. So for this season coming in now, I guess last season was like a test or whatever you want to call it. But Walkinshaw showed the commitment to run two cars no matter what. They went out and found the two best drivers last year, and they've probably gone and found the two best drivers for this year as well. But in saying that, the field was close last year, but there was a kind of a little bit of a gap from sixth back. But now this year, I feel like it might be like first to 12th. Like anyone in that group could
Yeah,
win a
yeah,
race
yeah.
potentially.
Mm.
It's just with any E series or series going forward, like it's just crazy. Like year on year, the jump in competitiveness and just anything, it seems to double and double. Like Pesk this year has gone from, I wouldn't say mediocre talent, but still like super high talent. But then it's just gone like completely alien, like 1/10, and you just 25 spots or something. It's just ridiculous.
By the way, how was the deal done with? Well, how was the deal done with Walkinshaw Andretti United? How was the deal done with Red Bull? Like, did they obviously they came to you? Did you make some calls, perhaps as well? Had some contacts in the back door.
Last year, Brenton O'Brien was steering that ship
Mm.
when I was with ERT, so he had the contacts with Walkinshaw. Forever grateful for him for doing that, really, because he took a
Mm.
whole day off work and sorted it all out for us and whatever. So, no, huge props to him for doing that.
Your old team boss. Let's not forget for those listening.
Yeah, my old team boss. Yeah, correct. Hello, Brenton. Um, I'm sure he'll listen to this. Yeah, but this year was a little bit different. I'm more or less on my own, managing myself. I actually had some help from Nathan Kaiser. Some may know him, some might not. He's actually running the Aussie Tin Top series in real life at the moment, and he also manages and runs the Stadium Super Truck series.
Mm.
And he's Adelaide based as well. So he's been a huge help of mine, just guiding me really. Not really a manager, just guiding and not. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like just putting me in the right direction in what I want and how to go about it, if that makes sense, just in a professional business manner.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, because I'm not from that background whatsoever. Um, so yeah, I had an offer on the table from Walkinshaw, obviously. Um, Year on year, identical offer. I think I can't remember. Um, and I think I got it sent to me on the weekend of a race meeting. I can't remember where it was. I think it might have been Townsville. Townsville 2 maybe. I'm not sure.
You're talking
So I had
2019 here, right? Or is this
no
2020?
this year. Only
2020,
like
yeah, yeah.
few months ago. So yeah, I had their contract in front of me. I was reading through it. Looked basically the same as last year's.
Hmm.
And then
And
I
then you
had a
wanted.
missed call from Tom from Triple Eight. So
Oh,
I
okay.
call it had to return his call at an earliest convenience to me. Um, and that was obviously on the Monday. So I hadn't
Mm.
signed the Walkinshaw contract then, and then he basically talks went on then, and then a bit of bartering back and forth with Tom and Nathan and myself, and then we just come to an agreement that the Red Bull offer was going to benefit me internationally
Yeah.
and long term and more long term. Obviously, setting up with Red Bull and HP, I can obviously extend that partnership moving forward, hopefully for 2021 and beyond.
Mm.
It's obviously global brand, everything like that, and obviously having the support of Triple Eight and all those guys, and Shane obviously as well. So that's been that was a big thing, obviously, because I wouldn't, it's hard to say. I'm not friends with Shane, but we're more acquaintances on the sim. I mean, I've been in the same team as him before. We get on and battle it out, and it's amicable, like
Yeah,
sim
yeah.
friends, you could say. So yeah, that's
He's been
yeah,
he's been on iRacing for what, almost 10 years now or something. So he's
probably.
gotten to know
Yeah,
almost
he's been
everyone.
on.
Even Justin Ruggiero was like that. Justin Ruggiero, I don't know if I think he still races around every now and then, but he's
Yeah,
known
he's
a
around.
lot of great sim races. Yeah, he's just been around for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah. Myself, Justin, Shane, Scotty Mack, we were all in the
Yeah.
same sim team together back in 2013, I think 2013, 2014.
Oh
But
wow.
that was kind of when Shane and Scott were really going down from the sim path and going up in real life, like when they're both starting to succeed. Obviously,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
naturally the sim takes a break if you're going well.
Well, as soon as
Yeah,
Scotty stopped on the sim and his I rating went down, he won 2 or 3 championships now, I think. So, well,
yeah,
actually, the third one he was on the sim quite a bit this year. So the first 2 happened because he stopped the sim racing, but I guess more
yeah.
time for the real world. Talk about the Ben visit. That to me was again a carbon copy
Mm.
of your Walkinshaw visit last year. You got to meet everyone in the garage. I didn't know you were there this week, even though we've been speaking. We were still talking on the weekend as well. You didn't tell me that you
I
went to
can't
the Bend.
remember.
I just found out because I
Well,
read the article.
well, yeah. Well, it was secret, wasn't it? Still, so I can't really say anything.
Good point. Good
Yeah,
point. Yeah.
yeah. I actually booked a whole day off work, which was good. So
Hmm.
I went down there. It was pissing down with rain on the way there. It was miserable and cold, just like it was last year, to be honest, just without the rain.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I've never driven in conditions that bad on the way there. It was ridiculous. My windscreen wipers couldn't keep up. So yeah, I got there in one piece, which was good. But no, it was very good. Obviously had a few coffees just to keep warm and whatnot. But yeah,
Few Red
once
Bulls
they nah, I
to
didn't need
stay.
them. I needed to keep my soul warm. I didn't want to freeze.
Mm.
Um,
Good
no,
call. Yeah.
I met the guy. I met a few of the guys. Obviously, they're on reduced capacity, so not everyone, but just the main ones, I guess. Dado and Shane and Jamie, and all that. No, it was as good as it could be, really. I mean, I had to get a exemption to get into the paddock with the COVID stuff,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
given it wasn't on a race weekend as well, or technically on the Friday before anything had happened. So yeah, met up with few friends, a few friends and all that. So it was good.
That's it. They're going to hound you for tickets now for every Supercars event, unfortunately. That's the way it works. Yeah, you're going to have to, oh man, another one. But the thing is, this year now, you've made a lot of new friends in the Supercars universe because when the pandemic started, obviously you're part of the Apex Racing team. You're around a lot
Mm.
with those guys. Scott McLaughlin joined the team. You got to know him very well. Got to know who else? Brody Kostecki very well. Anton de Pasquale. You've been hanging out with those guys quite a bit. Is there anyone else I'm forgetting out of that list?
Yeah, it's quite a few. James Golding, Scotty Pye. There's a lot of them, really. I mean, I my memory's not great, but I think it was maybe a week before round one of the E Series. I think it was like 2 a.m. or something. And by this time, I'd already broken my wrist. And I was off work, so my sleeping pattern was
Yeah.
shot. Um, and I think it was like 2 a.m. in the morning or something, and I was still on Discord with Scott, and he's like, oh, could I stream? And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, just could I stream? I'm like, well, yeah, anyone can stream. Um, and it was literally a 5 minute turnaround, and the bloke was already on Twitch. All that, he was verified after a week, and all that. So yeah, and then I had to help a few of the other guys out, help set up their Twitch. I mean, I didn't get any money out of it. I didn't ask anyone for anything. It was just I was just off work and I was bored really. I was just help anyone out who asked. So um, but yeah, I mean I'd known Scott for years. I mean I've raced Scops with him as my enduro partner. Raced Brody numerous times.
Brody's very quick on the sim.
Very, very quick.
Very, very quick.
I actually engineered him to his first and probably ever V8 Scops win at Oran Park.
Wait, second split or top split?
No, top split. He beat them all.
When was this?
I don't know. Back in the day. I don't know. It was feels like it was a year ago, but it was probably like 6 months ago or something. But no, he won the 200. I think it was 250 Ks at Oran Park. But yeah, I gave him the strategy and he come out on top. So
yeah,
it's all on me.
Well, you'll be good because that's where in the E series when they have that rule where you can't have a spotter. Can't remember if it's changed for this year or not. That's not confirmed yet. But that's where you can just engineer yourself, mate. And that's where you just have. I used to do the trick back in the olden days when we couldn't really have spotters and spectators. I used to actually write down like the laps I needed to make pit stops. This is back in like the 3-4 stop day races and 4-stop races in those days. And then I'd be like, oh, I'm +1. Now I have to +1 everything. I remember I had to calculate fuel in my head and I was like, oh, 2 decimal places. I can't do this shit. It was just all over the place. But
I think a spotter will just help with, it's almost like rallycross really. I mean, the pit stop in the series at the moment is more or less a joker lap in rallycross because we're taking tyres only. The tyre change is random, like the time. I actually lost a few races last year. I'm still pretty dirty about that.
Can I interrupt? You and I disagree on that a lot. So I agree with you with the fact that it's random, but where we disagreed was, you remember Oran Park last year? And I kept saying, I agree, like you got a shitty time because it was a random stop. But I also thought the fact that you had to angle your car also cost you a few tenths, so that made things a little bit worse. There's a rumor, who the hell knows if it's true, about if you park the car a little bit wrong, do you get a worse or better pit time? Some people think that's true, some people don't. But I don't know, the Oran Park thing could be a mixture of anything.
Could be. I mean, I think it's a myth. I've done numerous times, bloody left of the box, right of the box, 90 degrees. It's wrong angle. I won't let you do it. It's just, honestly, I've had, off the top of my head, I think I mentioned it to you. I think it was like low 7, and then the longest was like a high 10 or something.
You got a low 7?
Something like that. Low 8 or something. I don't know. I can't remember. It's been that long, honestly.
The lowest I've got is a 7.6 or 7.7. I've never got lower than that when I've tested.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah.
In my entertaining, this is what I get up to in my days, Jarrad. I wake up and I test out how long a pit stop takes in a supercar. Do like 500 of them.
Yeah. I think having a spotter, I think it would benefit a lot of them. Because track position will be king, I feel like. Even if it's a track that's easy to pass. There's no deg with the cars. Overcut, undercut, whatever. It's track position is number one, really. So if you can jump everyone, or I mean, if they pit early and you stay out and then they battle, then it's free spots for you. So
yeah,
I hope they open up that rule for this season. I think it's a betterment for the series. The racing will be better because of it and everything. Like more winners, possibly more mix up in the field spread, everything. I hope they open it up. That's for sure.
We'll see what happens in a few weeks. There's also a new car this year. People forget it's been that long since it was released, but it technically is the first time we're using this car for the E series, for the Sim Racers E series. But obviously it was well overdue from the old car. I think 100%. I definitely like driving this new car a lot. But the thing
Yeah.
I find with this car is it's got like it's fun to drive. It's got some challenges. I think people misunderstand the tires, especially when the real world guys were coming in during the E series. They were trying to treat the tires as if it's gonna work like the real world, and I was like, no, it's basically after like 3 laps, the tires are the same for the next. I don't know. I've never tested it, but it probably is like 500 laps. They're the same. Like I just don't see a difference from the deg. You know, it's like you get the best out of the tires for 3 laps, and then bang, it's just a plateau. It's the same.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like a GT car when there's no deg at all. There's percentage deg, but there's not actual lap time deg, which is the
Yeah,
big one. I think there was a few. I mean, with the old car, it took a while to get the tires correct. It was, I can't remember when it was, but it was good for a long time. But then I don't know what happened where it just gets shuffled and then it just goes back to shit again, which is unfortunate. I definitely think the tires should have some deg because at the moment, like I said, you're just pitting to undercut someone, or if you can even undercut, or just to cover people off, and it's almost like a lottery, really, which is
mm.
unfortunate. Um, that's where I would have probably preferred a fuel-based race. Obviously with the TV and all that, you can't have races too long.
I mean,
But
but you,
where
you you could still have them. You could still like, let's say the race format comes out. I mean, who knows what it's going to be? They could make them like the E
no
series.
one,
We had a couple.
yeah. Personally, I think where the fuel takes longer than the tires, that'll be
That's good. Yeah, that's
that
interesting.
that's that's better than losing a race by half a second when your pit stop was a second longer because the tires didn't change in time or something like that.
Mm.
Because you've just got no control, really. Like you're at the mercy of the iRacing pit stop crew that you don't even see. So
The algorithm.
yeah,
Which reminds
yeah,
me
but
now, but going back to Bathurst last year, and I spoke to you and Josh Rogers about this. So you guys were obviously fighting for the lead. You dropped Dane Warren at this stage. I don't think Dane
yep,
finished on the podium. It was actually Ethan Grigalt. So Dane actually had he had a bit of a shocker of a race. But
you got a good memory. I can't remember.
well, you
I
know why I
remember
have a good
passing you
memory?
and that
Because
was it.
I had to watch the race back last week. That's why. I
Yeah,
shouldn't have
right.
said that. I should have just said I had a fucking good memory. But anyway, so you guys had the Bathurst strategy. You were both matched in the first stint. Josh short fueled the first stint. You went to a full tank after. Sorry, the first stop, I should say. Then I put this down to 2 reasons now why you lost 5 seconds to him. The first reason is he's not there visually, and unless you're looking at your relative times, you can't really keep up with him. Does that make sense? Because sometimes when you're driving behind another driver, you need to keep up with them. You're just maybe pushing a little bit more, you know what I mean? But when they're not there visually, they can drop you if they're ahead. The other factor I've got is, and this is where, I don't know if it was you or Josh, but one of you guys thought this wasn't the case, but I thought Josh having a lighter fuel load, even though that car handled better with a heavier fuel load, I just think the weight of not having extra fuel gained him 5 seconds. So by you long stopping, does that make sense? By you running basically a full tank for no reason, he went with 2 half tanks, you went with full tank into normal tank. That cost you the 5 seconds. Do you agree? Do you
Yeah,
not agree? Longest question in human history.
yeah. I think I agree on the part where the lighter car yielded lap time.
Mm.
Probably it didn't yield whatever he was gapping me by. I can't remember, but it would have yielded a gain no matter what. What that gain is, who knows? Um, but yeah, but that was his own strategy call. Like we hadn't even talked about strategy at all. We'd kind of talked to roughly a pit window, like whether we wanted an even tire or split it up into thirds or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but we didn't talk about fuel, how much fuel we're taking at all. Because he knows my fuel usage is better than his. He was always a heavy user on fuel. So that was probably his own ticket to underfuel and piss off down the road and then win. Um, but my strategy, I mean, I guess creature of habit racing in V8 Scops, you just get in the lane, fill it up, and go. We would never really underfill the car to go faster, if that makes sense, because we were never I was never in a position needing to do that unless it was at Bathurst, but that's an enduro, and that would have been still 100 laps to go or something. So that's probably just an avenue that I didn't even look at, to be honest. I don't look back on it negatively or kick myself for it. Josh won. That's that's the end of the story, really. We had a good 1-2 for the team, which was good.
Yeah, that one of those formation finishes, or one of my friends who hates them. I didn't say this, but he called them wanker formation finishes. But we won't say that again. Shout out to my mate, who knows who he is.
Mate. unnamed mate.
I'm not going to throw him under the bus. Did you guys share setups last year? Because obviously that would have been surely the case at Walkinshaw. Yeah. So did you notice anything with Josh's new Coanda driving style that changed his setups?
No, not really. I fed him the setups and he would send them back if they needed to be adjusted. Just because we both had a really good understanding of that car because we'd both raced it for so long. And I obviously had some really good setups that year from ERT and Dean Thrower, who was my full-time engineer that year. We had some unbelievable setups. But the funny thing is we never looked at telemetry against one another, like on VRS or anything, because that obviously conflicted between Apex and Coanda, and we both were still obviously doing PESC and all that, so we can't exactly share each other team setups from the World Championship Series. But we didn't even think to look at data or anything like that. We got sectors, but that's about it. And that in itself is hard to gauge. I mean, we were really close all year, really. Every single track we were both within a tenth. Some tracks I was a little bit quicker than him. Some tracks he was quicker. But I mean, yeah, we pushed each other probably as hard as we could have. And it'll probably be the same with those two this year. Having their own. I mean, it's a fixed setup this year, so it's just driving as fast as they can. But having the data there that those two, obviously within the same team, they can really study each other and push each other to that next level above last year that myself and Josh were doing. So it'll be interesting to see how those two go. That's for sure.
I think you'll be up there, despite the broken wrist cost you some driving of. How did you do that again earlier this year?
Yeah, I fell over.
At work, was it? While playing sports, I heard?
No, it was at home. I had a rubber mat at my back door into my alfresco area.
Yeah.
And I had to wash it over the weekend, and it rained on top of that over the weekend. So then I let it dry out during the week, and then put it back inside on midweek. And rubber on porcelain tiles doesn't really go well when it's got a little bit of it's a little bit dewy or damp underneath. So yeah, it's weird really, because I don't remember falling over at all.
Oh wow.
But, yeah, I don't remember anything. I had my headset on. I was mid VRS data pack at that point. I had to get up and take the dog out. So I had my headset on and everything. And for some reason she wouldn't come inside. There would have been something outside. I don't know. So I had to go out and get her, and she bolted inside, but she hit the mat as well. But whether the rubber on the tiles actually caused like a little bubble and it holds itself there, but she ran in so fast that it must have released that bubble, and then it would have been just moving around whatever. And as soon as I put my foot on the mat, that was it. I was on the floor.
Oh my God, what an elaborate! That's a good story. I didn't expect it to be so. When you told me months ago you just fell over, I was like, oh, it must be a typical fall over. But it sounds like I don't think you can, like in hindsight, even like, you know, everyone's got hindsight. Oh, I should have taken this step this way and angled my knee this way. There's nothing you can really do in that situation. I think you were basically stuffed.
Yeah, I mean, you go from inside to outside, you've got to put your foot on that mat no matter what, because it's quite a large area one. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't even remember falling over. Whether I hit my head, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
probably.
can't remember.
Yeah.
I
Sounds
don't know. I mean, my headset fell off, that flew out and everywhere, and yeah, that was it.
Oh, were you talking to someone though, or was it just the data pack?
Nah, no, I wasn't talking to anyone. Luckily, there would have been a whole lot of profanity. That's for sure.
Oh.
I mean, I've never broken a bone before. I mean, it hurt, yeah, but like when you look at your wrist and it's kind of doing that, and I mean, I couldn't move my hand. It was like full lock. And I couldn't move it at all. I'm like, yeah, that's broken. That's for sure.
And then glory story, you ended up still driving with one hand in Pesk. And did you finish well at two? I think you finished pretty well.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I reverse poled it, so qualified P8.
Yeah. I still hate that rule, by the way. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you know, but that rule's changing for next season.
Oh, that's good.
It's what we all wanted, which is funnily enough. Yeah, qualified P8. And because I only had one hand, I obviously had the, hang on, I'll show you, downshift, and then there was a button for upshift.
Yeah.
And then the way to start this car was dual clutch. Is the better way to do it now. And I didn't have this rim. Back then, I had a Momo wheel with just two paddles. So I was still starting the car in the old method in neutral and then pull first gear as soon as it goes green. But you just didn't have that load on the clutch to load it up and then just take off without no wheel spin.
Yeah.
So I got completely jumped off the start line. I went from first to third or something in the sprint race, and then I think I let Dane through. I think I finished fourth in the sprint race. I can't remember.
Was this
third?
Barcelona?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, Catalonia,
this is the race that Yanni Vecchio was on his roof for half an hour.
The whole race. That was so funny, but fucking annoying. Every corner you go around left, there's that bloke sitting in the bloody grandstands
for 30 minutes.
All smoke billowing from his car. Oh my god.
He hasn't raced since. I don't think in the series.
I think he got booted out, I think.
Oh, okay. Is that why?
No, I don't think he did. He got in trouble for it, but I think he got kicked out for a different reason.
Oh.
Which I don't think I'm allowed to say.
Oh. I'll use your trick later to convince you to tell me.
I think it's public knowledge anyway. But yeah, I think I finished third. I can't remember. Third or fourth, I don't remember. But the feature, I finished fifth. I had a good battle with Brian Lockwood. We actually had contact, and it was, I don't know how I saved it, but I was doing this, trying to save the bloody thing. Yeah, finished fifth, and that's my best result of the season so far, because I've been taken out in every other race.
Oh, you should break your wrist more, mate. Fuck. When people say break your leg for good luck, I guess it sort of takes, I guess it sort of makes a difference with you, you know? I'm not wishing you break your leg, but, you know, break a leg.
Yeah. Well, my left leg anyway, not my right one. Otherwise I'll be stuffed.
Well, they should have given you the paddle shifters like the F1 style, where you can push on the left side, you push to upshift, pull to downshift, if that makes sense. And you can do that on the right side too. I've always never been a fan of those, because I remember when I was racing, I used to sometimes accidentally like be adjusting, and then I'd be like, whoa, I could have accidentally downshifted from 7th to 6th there at like 350 kilometers an hour. And I'm like, I would have just blown just stuffed up the crankshaft, engine's gone, that's it. But I don't know, that would have been pretty useful for you.
Would there not be a downshift protection though, considering it's a F1 car? Or was it one of those games where you can just do whatever you want?
Wait, what do you mean?
A downshift protection. So if you're going 300 k's and you're high in the RPM, it's obviously, you obviously can't go down like 3 gears or whatever.
I'm talking R Factor 2 where it's simulated, so it's probably gonna blow. I did that in a race once. I think when I was in I think I was in like I don't know if I was primary school or secondary school, but I was I accidentally switched to neutral on the straight at Indianapolis. And I was like, oh, what did I just do? And you're a kid, so you don't really understand like the concept of gearing that much. And so I shifted into first at like 300 and just blew the engine. Not kidding. This is like 55 laps into like a 78 lap race too. So yeah,
I think when
not
I
a good
first
choice.
joined iRacing, just having fun with mates, I had the old H pattern shifter, and I'd go in the Mazda, and I'd go fifth into reverse,
Mm.
put the clutch into reverse, and wasn't good. The car was toast. Made a funny noise though, which was cool.
Last year's E-Series, which was it was a big success. I was there. The funny story is I was there for Media Day, sort of. So I was there the day before in Sydney. So I flew in because I was doing another event. And then I found out that it was Media Day. I messaged Josh Rogers. He said, yeah, we're all going out for dinner and stuff. I didn't get to see you at dinner that night. I don't know what you were doing or if you were flying in the next day.
Yeah, I copped the hard shaft. not the one you're thinking of. I was the only one that had to do a day trip. Everyone else got to come in the night before and stay in a hotel and then go the next day. So I had to wake up at what was it? 5:30 and leave, and the flight out was 6:45 or something. And then, oh my god, man, that was the longest fucking day of my life. I was cooked. There's a funny story, but I'm not gonna say it on the stream or on the podcast because it's not safe for work, put it that way.
That's two things now you got to tell me later. Well, I mean, you would have been more healthy than the rest of the crew because I'm telling you, man, I was out with the rest of the crew to the early hours. I had to duck in early because I had an early flight. But like Jake Burton and some of those guys, man, they just went. I was surprised when I watched the Media Day show reels back for round one. I was like, why don't these guys have black eyes? Like, I don't understand where the makeup team's done a good job.
I was in that state on Sunday night without having touched a drop of alcohol. I was fucked. Just from the lack of sleep, being sick numerous times. It was not nice, put it that way. It was.
Well, you're correct. You did get the hard shaft. You really did. But both the one I'm thinking of and the one I'm not thinking of.
It was a day I'd like to forget, but also good memories, really. I mean, I got to meet a lot of mates who I'd never actually met face to face before.
Yeah, that's true.
Always good.
So then the live round, which was cool. I didn't get to go. Obviously, I was pit reporting from Melbourne, but that was again another time where you guys all got to hang out. First time, was that the first time for you competing in person with people? Because sim racing's always been a home thing.
Correct. Yeah, for me, that was my first. For others, I don't know. Probably second.
For Josh, no, because Josh flew in that morning from Germany. He did the same thing like 4 days before.
Yeah, he did the.
It was like an exhibition event for PES.
Yeah, he did that Porsche thing. He actually brought my trophy for me because I finished second in that event.
I remember that.
Trophy over for me.
I hosted that event, if you didn't know.
It's over on the floor over there. I'd get up, but I can't be stuffed.
It's all right. I can go in the Red Bull fridge later. So
it's actually a cool trophy. It's like a little glass rectangle thingy with laser etched on there saying second place or something. So that's cool.
Yeah, nice. Or as Ayrton Senna would call, the first loser. But it's okay,
I
Jarrad.
should have won that race too, actually. That's another story.
Are you for more live rounds? I thought it was cool. I think what we've realized now during the pandemic sort of taught us that it's not really necessary. It's not cost efficient. It's not really easy to manage. It's not time efficient either.
No. Just cost too much money, really. And the equipment wasn't great. I mean, it was okay, but compared to what we've got at home, it was shit, really.
Which is worth thousands of dollars more at home. You know, it's very expensive.
A lot more, yeah. I feel like the racing in the live round was okay, but it definitely wasn't as good as what it is at home. where everyone's comfortable, they know their surrounds, they can go as hard as they like. But at the live round, you've got all this foreign equipment that you have no idea what to do, because we really only got 2 hours, 3 hours practice on it or something. So getting yourself familiar with that was quite difficult, and especially battling. I mean, we only had one monitor, which was this big, and going from 3 to 1 was
Oh,
difficult.
and then I got to try out that sim, and I was
Yep.
mesmerized by how far away the screen was, because the field of view would have been like you'd have to set it to like 12 if
Nah.
that's possible.
Did you try that on the media day?
Yeah, was it? Did it change
Yeah.
after that? Okay.
Yeah. We all went there and started barking orders like, "No, we want this closer. This."
Yeah.
No, we got some adjustments made to make it a bit more user friendly. So the monitor was basically at the end of the wheelbase almost.
Hmm.
So it was much closer. But yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, but I mean they did the best with what they had. I mean, it was a cool experience. I'd
Hmm.
do it again, but there'd need to be a pretty heavy investment if they wanted to do it like very good at a high level and have high level equipment and rigs, and it's a money pit, put it that way.
Yeah, I had a solution where I said, why don't people ship in their equipment? But then I didn't realize how much that would cost compared to just, like that. You can't really do that. You don't want to drive from South Australia to Sydney again and bring your equipment in a car.
No.
And then when it comes to international events too, it's going to be even harder. So I don't know. It's something. I think it was cool having a live crowd though. That's the thing I like more, because I mean I was talking about this with our production team after the first round for Rallycross, but I just felt like we could have done a better job just capturing the atmosphere. But then also at the same time, there's no real atmosphere in sim racing. It's all artificial. It's like watching, a sports game at the moment, like the AFL with crowd noise. Like that's what sim racing is, and it's very hard. And so when we had the live round last year, with the crowd there cheering as you cross the line at Monza, winning and that kind of stuff, like that's what I love to hear. It'd be nice.
Yeah, definitely. You take it for granted, really, like in terms of AFL and all those sports that have a crowd, and the atmosphere is like fucking electric. But then you take that away, and the sport becomes kind of bland, and it's just like, ugh, what's like this is shit. It's almost like, oh, I may as well just go down the oval and watch the locals play. Like,
Yeah. That's it.
it's crap. But sim racing in that aspect, I guess you can't compare it to the real thing and have like the crowd hype and all that stuff, because it'll never be there unless it's at a live event. So until we experience it consistently, then it's not really spoiled for me, if that makes sense.
Well, that's what the BP series did so well. The Supercars production team did such an awesome job to capture whatever atmosphere you could actually capture from sim racing, in terms of the sound was awesome. Like the audio for a broadcast was brilliant. Commentary wasn't louder than it should have been, that kind of stuff. And that's something I find when I commentate in sim racing compared to the real world, because I always feel sim racing commentary is much harder than real world commentary. But when you go out to a real racetrack or you're going to do, one of those broadcasts, you can shut up and not speak for 10 seconds and it sounds brilliant. In sim racing, and this is a problem, like when I started watching some of the baseball broadcasts, when they came in the first days after the pandemic, like even those broadcasters are trying to like fill in silence and they're not used to it. And it's a tough one. It's a discussion we've had for, years now. It's not changed.
Yeah. Just to go back on that, that first teaser that Supercars released of
at Monza.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking unbelievable. Like that was ridiculous. Like that is honestly, like, no disrespect to any broadcaster at all, like including iRacing themselves. The Supercars one, they honestly knocked that out of the park. Like that is single-handedly the best like raw broadcast footage sound quality, everything that I've ever heard come out of the iRacing platform itself. Now, I don't know how they did it. I mean, they've probably got software that costs a shitload of money to do that.
Yeah.
But if that could be, like, if they set that bar and then the rest of the broadcasters creep up on that and then eventually get to that, I think that'll be very, very good. It'll just promote this sport better, I feel, because those broadcasts were so realistic that a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, this is unreal." The novelty wore off towards the end, but as expected. But yeah, the quality from the local broadcasting compared to that, there's such a big gap there.
Yeah. I mean, obviously,
yeah.
budgets are a bit different, but I know that,
massively.
you know, I got to know the team very well, and that's such a talented team right there. You know, everyone who in their role is phenomenal. You know, that's why the broadcast came out that way. It was just awesome. You know, it's such a great team to work with, great production value, good budget on television, graphics were great. Even the raw footage you're talking about, that didn't even have any graphics. It was just Matt White and Crompo talking with cars driving in the background. I remember that race in rehearsal. It was it wasn't as seamless as it looked in those 30 seconds.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you the Uno reverse card, and I'm gonna ask you a question. Is that all right? It's your podcast, but I'm gonna ask you a question.
I like that when I like when guests do that. Yeah, go.
Yeah. What's the number one thing that you learnt with working from like an internationally successful team? Like what's like the key things that you learnt that can translate into this podcast, sim racing, whatever you do as a profession in sim? Like
that's a good question, but I would say this isn't really dodging your question, but I would say it's the easiest thing I've ever done broadcast wise.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. The only thing I thought was harder was, I mean, the pressure of having to be perfect, because that's the problem when the bigger the audience you get, you got to be super perfect. You can't be making mistakes, that kind of stuff, because you get criticized for literally everything. And I also thought, it's just the pressure of being perfect and the audience. Those are the only hardest things, and I didn't even find that hard. I think it was by far the easiest thing I'd ever done. I'm telling you.
I know you copped some serious praise from Paul Morris.
He roasted me on Twitter too, on Instagram.
He roasted you?
Well, he praised me. He praised me a lot, which I appreciated. And I think like 2 weeks later, I was wearing gloves on Tom Randall's sim, and then he ended up roasting me, saying, "Oh, you got to wear your gloves, otherwise you'll get burnt sim racing." And I was like, "Oh, Paul, thanks, appreciate it." Went viral, I think, a little bit.
That's a low key burn, but I mean, yeah, I think it speaks volumes of the bloke who has been around racing for donkeys and is praising you for your commentary acumen, and because you're the expert, really. Like compared to all those people in the team, they're rookies. You're the expert. And I feel like, I agree with him, to be honest, with what he said about getting you in there and coming from a sim point of view, not from a real life point of view, because those guys, they do a great job, but they just don't know the ins and out of the sim. But I mean, it goes both ways. Like you probably wouldn't know the ins and outs of the real thing compared to
Like I would never be an expert if I jumped into Super 2 next week, and I wouldn't be the driver who would be given the expert commentary. If I'm going into a gig on the racetrack, like I'm doing lead commentary, because I'm not that type of guy. But thanks, mate. I'm going to go clip those last 3 minutes that you just said and just put it on my resume, like to a little YouTube link. And then people will be like, "Oh, look, Jarrad Filsell gave me this referee, Jarrad Filsell, Red Bull Holden Racing Team." Did you like the ovals from that series? The Michigan, Charlotte rounds, the races? I thought it was pretty decent.
I didn't do Charlotte. For some
reason. Testing wise?
No, I never tested there, no. But I actually I made the setup for Michigan, and I helped a few of them out. That was quite fun, actually. I mean, the cars kind of drove like shit, but they would drive like shit because they're not designed to turn left constantly. But the racing, like the prep racing and the pit parties, oh my god, they're so much fun. Whoever could keep it flat for the longest would always come out on top, really.
Well, not necessarily, because when I tested
in our parties that we were doing, really.
Like in those races,
if you were trying to hold the, for some reason I was still one-handed then. I don't know if that was probably good for me. I mean, I know Dale Earnhardt only uses one hand when he was doing on the sim stuff, so
yeah,
do it for Dale. I was holding it flat around like lane 3, 4 on the top, flat the whole way, like both. But then I felt like the deg was really cool with that though, because it superheated the tires on the right side that they kind of ballooned up and went to shit. But that actually created some good racing, because it created that deg that this car needs, where if you pit later, you're going to get a jump on someone at the end, and the draft is so big, and yeah, it kind of, I don't know, it spiced it up enough for it to be visually and for entertainment point of view, a very good show, which was good.
Last thing, does anybody actually call you fuel cell? Let's be honest here. Who calls you fuel cell? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, of course they do.
Oh, who? Tell me right now. Name one person on the spot.
Scott?
He calls you fuel cell, does he actually?
Yeah.
Man, I've just been calling you Jarrad ever since I met you. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. It was a nickname that was adopted or forced upon me from Marty Atkins. A few will know, a lot won't know. He's not really around the sim world anymore, but yeah, I don't know. It just stuck because it's close to my last name, and it's racing related, I guess, as well. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really care. Some people call me that, some people don't. Yeah, it's whatever, really.
Ah, cool. Anything to plug before we go? You got a lot to plug. Yeah.
Nah, obviously with the Omen gear, which is really good actually. I set these monitors up yesterday just for this podcast. Man, it took so fucking long, seriously. Yeah, I don't know. No, you won't be able to see it, but my other 3 are parked up over there, ready for the tip. No, they're not.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll take them if you want. I think Scotty Mac said he wants them too. You can ship them off to him.
Oh, yeah.
Along with your webcams that he owes you back and everything.
Hey, he paid for them actually. He paid.
Oh, okay. My bad. Yeah. Sorry, Scott.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I had 2 laying around that I wasn't using, and that pandemic, for some reason, people didn't or wanted webcams, so I had 2 spare. So he got them off me, which was helped him out and helped his stream out, which was good. Added another level to it, but yeah, obviously with this flash Omen gear, obviously you can see I've got a blue light on underneath that. Kind of ties in with the Red Bull Holden merch, which is cool.
Nice.
You won't be able to see it, but I've got all blue on the computer as well. Blue on the mouse, everything. I've blued it all, which is cool. But I've got a red wallpaper, so yeah, go figure.
Yeah, there was a time in March when when webcams were sold out at one stage. I think I've been brainwashed by all the Red Bull things.
And
I'm
monitors as well. Have you seen them? They're fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, there was a time where I think I had to ship. So interesting story before we go. Yep. Final round of the E-Series. I used to bring my computer in for Chad Nailon and I to use for pit reporting and different stuff. And there was all the other equipment we had. And I swear to God, it was like 1 p.m. that afternoon, I'd switched it off. I was obviously, going to get some exercise, blah, blah, blah. Get ready for the broadcast that night. Drive with it to the actual place we were broadcasting, and it just wasn't switching on. And that was when my CPU died after, I think, 6 years. So
Really?
then I had to buy a CPU, and I was like, oh my God, this is like 2 weeks to deliver, when normally it could be like 3 days through Express. So I'm just like having to use my laptop now, and it was a chaotic couple of weeks.
There's a
That was
COVID
the final
tax on
round.
top of the CPU as well?
Say it again?
Was there a COVID tax on top of the CPU as well?
Maybe. It was
That's what I
very
call it
pricey.
anyway. Bloody inflated by $300. I mean, my monitors, they were discontinued, but a very similar model. When I bought mine, I was comparing the two, and then I eventually went with those. But $150 extra per monitor, mid coronavirus tax peak.
Was there actually a COVID tax? Are you joking
No,
here?
I'm taking the piss. Like,
I was
because
like,
it's
I
in
don't
high.
remember there being one. Yeah, but I mean,
It's
South
in-
Australia's
it's in-
got a whole lot of shit going on, mate. So I don't know what's going on over there.
No, just the demand. Like, I mean, as a business, you put your price up because you make more money out of it, really. So they were $150 extra per monitor, from like 2 years ago. So yeah, it's crazy, unreal.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Simon Racing Report. We'll catch you soon for more. So subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're on the Simon Racing Report website and YouTube, and a multitude of other places. Give Jarrad a follow on Twitter. Give myself a follow on Twitter too, at JohnnyS8. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook too, at the Simon Racing Report. But we'll catch you soon. There'll be more podcasts coming out in the future. We're about to hit the century. It's been so long, but it's been, I feel, so well deserved, and I really appreciate all the support from all our subscribers over the years. But for now, though, we'll see you later. Take care.